Okay, today I want to dive into developing an iron mind, right? And having a resilience mindset. And, I want to break down first and have a discussion about what is resilience, right? Resilience is discipline and flexibility at the same time. It's about setting a goal set, right? Or having a set of rules and processes you want to go. But as we know, nothing you plan ever works out the right way. It always changes.
Yeah.
So for me, I think resilience is not having that stoic mindset about this is what I'm going to do and this is the only way to do it. It's about being able to pivot in any situation, right? Resilience is not about having a one set track mind, which, as men, we generally like, this is what I'm going to do, that's how I'm going to do it. It's about knowing that no matter what plan I put in place, it will inevitably change. And resilience is about adapting that plan consistently to make sure you get to where you want to get, right? So
what facet of life are we talking?
I'd say, honestly, I think this plans in with anything, right? I think we can go to the body aspect, and we can talk about nutrition, we can talk about health, biohacking, training. It's never, ever as simple as it is on paper, right? We imagine that, no, this is the plan, and as long as I follow the plan step by step by step, it'll work out. But as a business owner, how often does the plans you set out actually work?
Yeah, I guess it depends on what it is, but yeah, it changes, it evolves, it's fluid.
Right, it's never one set thing. And I think as men, what we kind of, when you think of resilience, you think of just kind of pushing through.
I mean, I say that, like, we could take this podcast in a bunch of directions, but like in business, to me, I think where I've gone wrong when I evaluate myself over the past 2 years of being self-employed is not being repetitive. Being predictable and repetitive in business, like getting good at one thing and just keep repeating that.
Which I don't disagree, but in getting good at that one thing, right, I'm not necessarily talking about an action. I'm talking about holistically, no matter which path you take, life is going to throw you curveballs, right? So I think resilience in this aspect is about developing a mindset, knowing that no matter what I put in place, that's where I want to be. How I get there will inevitably not be a straight path. It's going to go left, it's going to go right, it's going to go up, it's going to go down, and I'm going to have to learn how to adapt around that. Yeah,
like Mike Tyson always says, everybody has a plan until they get punched in the mouth.
Yeah.
And that's where resilience comes in. Well, and I think about my one friend who was a Navy SEAL that talked a lot about this, where what makes a Navy SEAL so good?
Yeah.
It's not that they're superhuman.
No.
There's nothing unique or special about them and their makeup. It's their resilience, but they train so much that when things do go sideways, they've trained for it. They're prepared for it.
But even with that is, having had some some ex-special ops guys on the podcast last week, is what you realize is what separates them, and I think this goes for Navy SEALs or any elite military person, and this is for the general guy out there, what separates you from everyone else is not just a no-quit attitude. And I'll give a story on an idea of this, right? So a blue-collar worker, right, there's always told us, and it's part of societal's push to us, is as long as you work hard, right, as long as you work hard, and you put the work and you put the time in, you'll be successful, you'll be rich, everything will be there, right? It's not true.
It's not true at all.
Right. What is true is
it's common. Flaw.
It's a flaw, right? Because the flaw is saying is, so let me give a layout. So I'm a car mechanic, right? My mindset is I know how to repair a car.
Yeah.
So I listen to that aspect and I go, okay, if I work 12-hour days, I put in that time, I'm going to be successful. And what happens is 20 years down the road, you're still a car mechanic.
Yeah.
You're still selling your time, and you haven't really made any gains.
You know what made me wake up to that? When I was in a corporate job.
Yeah.
I worked my ass off, man. And I was just trying to keep up. And I was, in my opinion, I was one of the hardest working people they had.
Yeah.
Like, they all worked hard. They were a good company of hardworking people, and they hired well. But my point is, I identified a few flaws, but like, I could work 100 million hours a week if there was such a thing. My paycheck was still going to be my paycheck. Right? It didn't matter. And then I was also subject to, if you were my boss, I was subject to your opinion of my performance.
Yes.
If my boss changed, if Jason got fired as my boss and Peter comes in as my boss, Now I have to impress Peter.
Yes.
Because he determines whether or not I get promoted.
Yes.
And Peter doesn't like me anymore. Jason loved me. Peter hates me. I don't get promoted.
Yeah.
That's out of my control. My pay stays the same and I never make any more money. But I'm still a hard worker.
And you're still working the same amount.
I'm still working the same amount. I'm still hardworking.
Yeah.
Still performing. But nothing's changing in my pay.
And that's a great analogy when it comes to resilience. So let's go back to the mechanic, right? So said mechanic now waits 20 years. He's been putting in the 12-hour days. He does the work. Now he earns a good paycheck. But what he hasn't done is he hasn't learned how to not sell his time. He hasn't taken his skill set and learned how to develop it into a way to turn it in, possibly into a business or into something that could expand him, right? Which is, again, we can go into many different directions. How do businesses scale?
Yeah.
And that is, again, so could we call the mechanic who spent 20 years doing the same thing, working hard? Because let's not say he didn't work hard. He worked his ass off, right? Mm-hmm. And he gets 20 years down the road and he's making... He could be making 10,000 more than what he made, but he's not making what he thinks he should be made based on what was said to him, right? Yeah. So where did he go wrong? Resilience isn't just about one path and doing one thing. Resilience is being able to identify around you multiple different opportunities and doing things that are said uncomfortable for you within your skill set. Because you know as well as I do is when it comes down to it, right? The things we like doing in business, in life, in training, in nutrition, in whatever you're doing, the things we like doing, they're easy because we like doing them.
Sure.
The things that make the difference is the things we don't like.
That's right.
That's really where the work is, right? So if that said mechanic, right, spent 5 years, he becomes an expert in his field. What's the next opportunity? Next opportunity is become an entrepreneur, open up your own shop, right? Climb up in your business, leave the position of a mechanic, because now you're an expert there. Yeah. Now leave that position and take another position, learn that skill set, keep climbing up until you climb the ladder. So you can do it in corporate.
I actually think, I've got a bunch of air conditioning problems this year, but my guy was there. I had to stop by to see him, and he's trying to grow his business.
Yeah.
But he can't get, in his mind, he can't get any good employees.
Yeah.
And there's some truth there. Like, he's having a hard time hiring, but his struggle is that he's a one-man show.
Yeah.
And it's hard to hire. It's hard to hire somebody that has that trait or that skill. But for him to grow his business, he has to multiply himself.
Yes.
It's the only way he can do it.
He cannot do the work consistently, no matter how hard he works. So in his particular case,
he works his ass off.
And no one's going to doubt. And how many guys out there, people out there, and this applies to every aspect of your life. Relationships, right? You can beat your head in a relationship trying to... I'm just going to, if I just do this, if I just love my wife, just love her, right? And I love her the way I want to love her and she knows I love her, everything will be fine. It's not the truth. Yeah. Right? I have to learn what her points are.
Yeah, I love that.
Now, how do you switch your mindset, right, into resilience? And I'm going to give a couple of aspects and I'd like your opinion and you give yours, right? The first is you have to be uncomfortable or be comfortable being uncomfortable. You're going to have to explore parts of your psyche and who you are and what you do and do things that you may not like in order to take a step forward because you have to see it as a growth. And I think another part of that is being able to control your ego and your emotions. And as men, we have to identify triggers because what don't we like as men? I do not like it when someone calls me on my shit.
Yeah, me too.
No one does, right? I also don't like it when I think I'm doing really well and someone points out a flaw. Yeah. Right, because I'm doing really well. What do you mean there's a flaw, right? Because our concept of growth, and even in what we're doing and what we're trying to do with our community, is we're trying to get everyone to be better. But it's never ending, right? Yeah. And you have to be able to take a step back. You have to take that humble pull and be able to take back, and no matter where that information is coming from, be able to digest it in a way where you detach from the emotional outcome. So it could be you that gives me this advice, of someone who I trust deeply, who's one of my best friends. If Kevin says something, I'm going, okay, let me stop and listen. It could be a guy at the grocery store that made a stupid comment based on something I did. Mm-hmm. Now, here's the thing is, I'm going to take both pieces of information. Obviously, yours weighs more because I know you. There's a trust factor. You know me. But even the guy who gave that advice in there, before I get upset with him, right, or before I judge, I'm going to sit back and go, okay, let me digest this. Is what he says in any way, shape, or form relevant? Right. If it is relevant, I'm then going to dive deep in. What I may do is I may take that aspect and I might come speak to someone that I trust deeply and go, kid, you know what, I heard this comment, what do you think? Yeah. Right? And you may go, you know what, there is something there, maybe you should have a look at it. Mm-hmm. But it's the ability for me to take a step back, right? Which you and me have done in multiple parts of our life, which I think this is part of the resilience mindset, right?
Yeah, for sure.
You're able to take that step back, look at yourself and go, you know what? I am doing well, but I could be doing better, and there's always growth. We're never complete. So whatever they said, if there is something there, what can I do to be better? Now, in order to do that, I might have to take 10 steps back, change direction, go up, go down. It doesn't really matter. But if I'm not willing to do that, then you're not resilient. Resilience is the ability to change direction at the drop of a hat without getting emotionally attached or attached to the outcome, and being able to see that end result and go, I might have to make a few changes to get there. But being humble enough to apply them to yourself without getting upset, getting triggered, which is this is the part I think for men we struggle with is ego.
Well, but I also think it's important. I completely agree with everything you're saying. Like I totally agree with you. However, I think where I would probably counter you is be careful who the input's coming from to and what it's about. Because sometimes, let's use family. Like when you're on a journey of growth and you're bettering yourself, you might get feedback from someone that's like, I'll just use business because it's an easy analogy, and not to get into like anything too personal, but like in business, if you take a risk or a chance, your parents have a tendency to protect you from that because they don't want you to fail.
Yeah.
So they would tell you, well, I don't think that's a good idea, and poke all the holes into your investment idea when they don't know anything about what it is that you're actually trying to accomplish. They just seen what other people say or whatever the story. And so you have to be cautious of where you take input from and feedback. But I agree with what you're saying. Like, you know, and you and I have had lots of feedback conversations, and sometimes it hurts. Yeah. Sometimes it's tough to hear because you don't want to be told that you're not good enough.
Yeah. And here's the thing is, it's not that you're not good enough.
Well, that's how you take it. Your logical brain takes it that way.
And your emotional system takes it that as well. I'm not, and again, this is going to go back to relationship. There's two levels here, right? So Kevin's 100% correct, right? I am a big advocator is do not take criticism from someone you wouldn't take advice from, right? Now, he spoke about family. Now, your parents would be people that I would probably take advice from. However, you have to...
Depends on the subject.
I would agree and disagree at the same time, because I might take what you're saying and I might digest it. Doesn't mean I'm going to use it. Doesn't mean I'm taking it too hard. But I'll listen to you and I'll take it because there may be something there.
Yeah, my father has... We have just a very good relationship. And I talk things out with him often.
Yeah.
And to your point, like, I don't necessarily always, like, do what he thinks I should do. Yeah, but I hear what he has to say.
But you hear him, and it's good to take that. Now, that's someone you trust. Now, in the same breath, let's talk social media. You might get a negative comment, right? We run a podcast, we're online, so, you know, I've seen some negative comments about the stuff we do. Most of the negative comments, I'll read the comment, right? I'll take to heart. There may be something there, but do I look at all of it and take it and digest it? No. Discernment is important here, right? You have to be able to discern
what feedback I want to listen to.
And the minute that you listen to feedback and you get emotionally triggered, step back.
Yeah.
You can't get emotionally triggered.
And you know me, like I get triggered on stuff easily sometimes with stuff. That's my competitive juices, and then there's still things that I'm overcoming. And what I've learned to try to dive into my triggers, like try to learn, well, why did that trigger me? Why did that person cause that? What is it about that person?
Yeah.
And like at the same time, like, you know, I also don't think you need to please everybody. You can't. Yeah. You have to be mindful of that. You're not going to please everybody. But I think, you know, what I like about this topic, and a mentor of mine used to say this, and especially when it comes to your inner circle, all right? Like, and I call the inner circle, you're in my inner circle, obviously. My wife, my parents, my brother and sister. If you get, I'll use the feedback from a spouse, because that's probably the most important relationship. It's the one that we care about the most, right? They give it, and you and I have talked about this plenty of times. Like, we've gotten feedback from spouses that you're just like, it hurts.
Yeah.
But if you recognize the fact that they're doing it in love.
Yes.
And a previous mentor of mine said, be unoffendable.
Yes.
So, like, you're right, I am doing that.
Yeah.
That's a good point. And then you step back and you evaluate.
Yeah.
And you become unoffendable about that. Because here's what happens when we get feedback. And I've been so guilty of this. And especially from your spouse. they pick out something that you've done, and you immediately try to defend what you did.
Yes.
Instead of just going, "You're right."
Yeah.
And you just hear it. And even if you don't necessarily like what's said, like, be unoffendable. And again, I've been trying hard to fix this, because this is something I was horrible at. I'd always get real defensive, and there's triggers, subconscious things going on both as to why. But you literally, you just don't, like, the person you care about the most, you don't want to upset them.
Yeah.
And you don't want them to be upset with you, and so you do get defensive.
Yeah, and I think you do that we do it way more with the people closest to us. I think we're in what Kevin just said is this has been part of our learning journey, especially in relationships, is being able to take criticism from anybody, but especially the person closest to you, because the person closest to you is probably more on the button than anyone else, right? But I agree with him. You need to learn to grow a thicker skin. You need to be able to take information in a way that you don't allow it to hurt you, even if you don't like what's being said, right? I've had many things said to me that I don't like, but previously, when I was younger, I would get super upset and I'd get be angry and how dare they say it. Now what I do is, regardless of where it comes from, right? Again, it doesn't mean that if they say it, I just take it and I action it. I take it, I digest it, I discern, is this information relevant to me? Is it not relevant to me? If it's relevant to me, I'm going to dive in more. But the more you detach the emotional outcome and you look at it from a perspective of growth instead of a perspective of, stop looking at it as criticism and start looking at it as an opportunity for growth.
Well, and one of the things that I came to mind when you were talking there, I've been told I'm sensitive like my mom. And it would just upset me. Like, I would get defensive of that, because I'm not my mom, and I would get pissed off about it. And I don't remember the study behind why, like, when your spouse says something like that, they're connecting a pattern and placing it to them, but it's not actually what's happening. Like, that's not I'm not actually sensitive like my mom. I'm sensitive because of a trigger or a trauma from my childhood.
It's very specific.
Correct. Yeah. So, and if you break me down, my sensitivity stems from a place of, I've been criticized my whole fucking life. Yeah. Like, literally, like, since I was a child. Like, and I went to a private school, and I was in a religious environment, and there was rules and structure. Yep. We wore uniforms to school. We had to have certain hair grooming standards. Like, it was very, strict, and you got basically punished if you didn't follow those rules. Yeah. And so that's a form of criticism. And so you're always aiming to please. Yeah. And so when you think about fast forward as an adult, you break free of those worlds and environment. Now, I continued on to play sports. I was in the military, then corporate world, where feedback was constant, always pressure filled. And so the sensitivity in my personal life comes from a place of the environments that I was in. Yes. And it's all related to that. It's not because of my mother. Yes, she has her own sensitivities, but it stems from her traumas and triggers from her childhood. Yeah, and it's things that she's been through. And it's people relate them because if they know the two people, people make associations all the time, right? But realistically, Kevin's made a great point here, and this is, for all men listening, this is something you have to deeply take into consideration. As men, specifically as men, right, is we are conditionally accepted in society for what we produce, what we are, how we are. When we grow up, whether you're in school, I don't care who you are, if you're a man and you've grown up, and this applies to women too, but it's a slightly different aspect for men. As you grow up, there's a societal expectation which is really hard, that's put really hard on men. Now, when I say it's put hard on men, I'm not disputing that there's a necessary aspect to it, but men get told from a very young age, for the longest time, that you need to be better, you're not good enough. You need to be better, you're not good enough. Now it happens to women too. I think their formats are different, but men's is very different, right? Because you're the provider, you're the strong one, you're the leader, you've got to do this, you've got to do that. So it'll be tough. From a very young age, it's kind of driven into us. Now, I don't disagree that you need to toughen up men as they grow up. However, there needs to be an education element to this, right? To teach you that why we're doing it. You're doing it because I'm trying to build resilience. I'm trying to teach you to be a better person. And I think coaches is a great one. You talked about baseball, right? Coaches have a military mentality. A lot of coaches. There's not everyone, but a lot of coaches' idea is military mentality. I'm going to build you up by breaking you down. Yeah. Now, in all fairness, that does work. I'm not going to say it doesn't. The U.S. military is literally built on it, right? All militaries on earth are built on it.
So there is an aspect that works, but what it does, if there's not an education aspect of understanding oneself, it creates a broken society afterwards. Right. And what we're trying to get people to understand, and whether you're an ex-vet like Kevin is, or whether you're just a guy to be better, is you have to learn why these things were done. You have to discern why are these things put in place, and you have to grow a thicker skin in order to be resilient. You have to look at things and go, okay, we speak about this all the time. The universe, things that happen, it doesn't happen to me, it happens for me. Right? Why does it happen for you? Failure is not a failure. Failure is an opportunity because there's learning and growth. But trying to get that mind trigger is never taught to us.
Yeah. And I think it's a whole other thought. But like what you're just talking about, like when we go through hard things, I think people have a tendency to not want to learn from those because it sucks.
Yeah.
But the best lessons in life come from hard.
Yeah.
Right. And so if you recognize, like, why is that? And I actually want to go back to something you were talking a second ago that caused me to, I want to talk to the women a little bit and the spouses and what a man needs. And this is kind of fresh in my mind because I saw something on Instagram about this. How much better do your days go when your wife breathes life into you?
Way better.
When she appreciates, she acknowledges you.
Yeah.
She sees you, she appreciates you. And that's what we need. Like, men need that to fill ourselves. Like, when we see them appreciating us, thanking us for what we do, because that's what our DNA is wired to be providers.
Yeah.
And we're not always good at reciprocating. We need to be better at reciprocating that, seeing her where they are. Because, like, I'll give, like, some example on me, like, where I would struggle to identify, like, when I was in a corporate job, I use that one. I'd call home and I'd say, "What's for dinner?" Like, I was leaving work at like 6 o'clock, usually up there because of traffic. And I would call home and say, "What's for dinner?" And she'd say, "I don't know, I haven't figured it out." And I'll get frustrated at that. We go, "What the fuck have you done all day?"
Yeah.
Right? It would
the first thing in your mind, right?
First thing in my mind, right? And then rather than understand her struggles and what she's been through, I just assumed she didn't do shit all day.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a good point.
And it's bad. It's horrible. It's a horrible situation. So I didn't appreciate for what she did. And so what we want as men, we say I want to be appreciated and valued.
Yeah.
Well, so do they.
Yeah. And
see them,
and
right?
there needs to be seeing them is important. There's got to be an understanding. And I think what you said there carries a lot of weight, because what we tend to do is, and we don't just do this with our spouses, we do it with other people, right? You will see someone and you'll see them struggling with something that may be easy or that you have overcome, right? And our first thought in our brain is, why are you struggling with that? It's so easy, right? Because they
don't always see it.
You're right, because they don't, besides them not seeing it, you're also only looking at it from your perspective, right? Because what you think is easy for you may be an insurmountable mountain for someone else.
Yeah.
Right. And the patience, especially when it comes to your spouse, the patience of realizing that they are wired differently, how they see things are differently. Women need 4 hours more sleep than men on average. Right. Why? Because their system, because of the amount of cortisol they pump through their system, because they're overly anxious because of the way that their hormone levels work, because they're so overly anxious by nature, because they're nurturers by nature, they worry 100 times more than we do.
Yeah.
Right. We're wired that way. There's nothing wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with us. That's just how we are.
Yeah.
And they need more rest, literally, just to get over that.
Interesting.
Right. And also the fundamental problems, well, I'm calling them problems, the challenges that they deal with on a month-to-month basis. Our hormone levels do this. Slight fluctuations, a little bit up, a little down.
Extreme, right?
Theirs are up, down, left, right. Now, it's not your responsibility to regulate that. It's theirs.
Yeah.
But it is your responsibility to have an understanding of what they're going through.
Well, Melissa, that podcast we had with Melissa, and if you haven't listened to that, you should go back. Amazing episode. We'll definitely have her back on. But what really was an eye-opener for me was like just how a man thinks in the logical brain, a female thinks in the emotional brain.
Yes.
That's huge, right? And when you talk about, like, hormones are a factor in this too. And something that comes into this is a female or a woman's intuition.
Yeah.
It's very real. They've studied it, can never identify what causes it, right? But it's there. But it's there, and it's real. It is what it is. And I think going back to like the resilience, topic or the theme here, we all want to be successful in marriage.
Yes.
Let's be real. Like, we all go to work, we all hustle, make money. Our audience is, entrepreneurs, and we do what we do to provide our families a better life.
Yeah.
Okay. And then when we fail at marriage, and I could write a fucking book on what not to do.
Yeah.
Like that, I fucked up so much, right? And my whole thing, and I've told my wife this over and over. Like, I'm going to talk about as much as I can about our marriage that still maintains her privacy.
Yes.
To help other men not go through what I've gone through.
Exactly. Because
let me tell you, I've been through it, right? And my whole thing is, you do what you work and you provide, thinking I'm doing what I'm loving that way.
Yeah.
I'm doing what I'm supposed to do, and they should be grateful and appreciate that. And we need that life. We need that breathing into us.
Yeah.
But it's not enough.
No, there's
enough.
There's definitely not enough.
No, and like it killed. Like, we were talking about this at the gym. Like you were saying, you used the example of you go to a restaurant. And the psychology of another woman, if you lock eyes with this other woman and she does a double take look,
yeah,
she's not happy.
Yeah, woman's body language betrays them, right. And everybody's does, right? And this is an interesting. What Kevin's essentially bringing up is a good friend of mine he's got a very insightful idea about how he sees the psychology of people, right? Yeah. Whether it be men or women, but specifically for him, is he found it very interesting that if he's sitting at a restaurant and he locks eyes with a woman who's with someone at the table, right? And he says he can tell within 3 seconds if she's into the person she's with or if she's not. And he says, this is how. He goes, the minute I lock eyes with her, if she locks eyes and then goes back to a conversation and never locks eyes or never looks that direction again, she's into the person she's with, because I'm just part of the decor. I'm just something else in there.
Just in the environment.
I'm just in the environment. But
she doesn't really notice you.
She doesn't really notice me, right? But if she locks eyes with me and then looks down and looks back up, now all of a sudden, she's not as engaged as the person she is. And if she continues to do that, she's absolutely not engaged. Yeah. And body language is a big factor to this. Now, this happens with men and women. A gym's a wonderful... go ahead.
Let me make the point. So you got the backstory behind that. The reality for me is, like, so let's use that instance where the woman's unhappy with the man she's with. I've talked about the grocery store incidents and things that I've experienced. And it's sad to me, like, and I've shared the story of, like, being in the store with a very attractive woman with her husband that was, successful middle-aged guy, out of shape, overweight. She was gorgeous, and her eyes were
locked on you.
Yep. And the only thing I could think about is how much I wanted to shake the dude awake to say, dude, you're going to lose her.
Yeah.
And it just saddens me when I see guys, successful in business, and they think that's enough.
Yeah.
Because I did. I was guilty of it, man. I was successful in my career, and I thought that was enough. I got myself out of shape. I almost hate going back and looking at those pictures because it just reminds me of pain. But I have to learn from it, right? Yeah. So that's why I share my story and talk about it. Because maybe it'll save somebody else from that pain. But, like, I don't care what anybody says. We train. That's the number one.
Yeah.
I don't care what anybody says. Like, there's not a woman out there who's going to be mad at her husband because he went out and got fucking jacked.
Yeah. In shape.
There's not a woman out there that's going to be upset with him being fully physically capable of moving heavy weight, taking care of her in a crisis, knowing that he can defend her if something happens.
Yeah.
I don't care what your political views are. Every woman out there wants a man that's capable of defending her.
Yeah. I'm with you. I don't really care what your societal outlook may be on this is. Every woman wants a capable man, right? If you're there, you want a capable man who knows that can look after you.
What's the dude from Yellowstone? The main character from Yellowstone that the women are just drooling over. He's got the cowboy hat and
Jeez, they all have cowboy hats.
I know that doesn't help, right?
I think it's Rip.
Rip is it Rip or Rip? Or I don't really watch the show, so I can't remember. And he's with the one girl, and, like, I've seen all kinds of memes and gifs about, like, the shit she does and how he always has her back, and like women are like drooling over a man like that. So men, pay attention to what they're drooling over.
Yeah.
The dude's fit, he's healthy, he's strong, he's in shape, he's a cowboy. He gets after it, and it's a show. Yes, it's glamorized,
But there's points in there.
But there's points in there of like, here's a dude that like he's got his woman's back.
Yeah,
you know,
it's. And this again comes down to resilience, because we've jumped a couple of places now. We've gone from business to training to relationships. It's all relevant, right?
It's all relevant.
This is the part where it becomes really important to kind of absorb what this is. Resilience is not being resilient in one place, right? You could be fantastic in business. You're able to pivot. You're able to go up and down. If you cannot transfer that mindset into your relationships, into looking after your physical well-being, into being able to regulate yourself as a man, you're failed, right? You're failing. You're literally failing at what you need to do.
Yeah.
The whole point of what we're trying to achieve with what me and Kevin do on a day-to-day basis, the groups we have, the community we have, this podcast is showing you that to be a truly masculine man, right, is to have all of these things in depth and in line. And here's the kicker: they're never going to be perfect. We're not perfect by any shape, way, or form. Everything is work in progress.
Nobody has it figured out.
Right.
That's the other thing.
But and you're never going to figure. The thing is, I never want to figure it out, because then the journey ends. Right. This is the purpose. What do men struggle with? Right. Men struggle with the why. Why am I doing this? The purpose behind that, and what is the meaning of life question for men? Why am I doing this? What's the purpose to life? All these things which we all go through at some point.
Yesterday morning, in the group, the guys were kind of struggling with the why.
Yeah.
You know, they were struggling like, why do I train or follow a meal plan?
Yeah.
And I can honestly say, like, I had trouble relating.
Yeah,
honestly,
when
because
you figure it out for
figured
yourself,
out for myself. I remember when I struggled, so
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. I guess that my reason of saying that is it shows that how much of a fundamental shift I've had, because for me, even when, like, okay, I posted some stories, right, and I was just making some jokes about my bicep vein coming out. And I had a bunch of people in my DMs about, some giving advice, trying to tell me some almost like giving me their approval of like, hey, great job, I'm proud of you. Mm-hmm. Like I had a few of those, and I just like, hey, thank you, I appreciated all the comments, right? Yeah. But what was ultimately in the back of my head for 99% of them, there's maybe like one person that I think has kind of figured things out, but the majority of them, I was like, honestly, you need what I'm putting out there.
Yeah.
Because I've made a fundamental shift in my brain.
Yeah.
I have shifted completely. It is not just a fad. It's not just something I decided to start doing. I have truly made a fundamental shift in my life, my lifestyle, that I want better. Yes. And I'm not satisfied. And the resilience is, I love the process.
Yeah, you have to learn to love it. If you don't love the process, you're bound to fail.
Yeah, and I was telling you at the gym today, how many people struggle with meal plans?
Pretty much everyone. Let's just be on everyone.
Everyone, right? And I have found myself, I'm not saying I don't still have some struggles. Like, I like sugar. Sugar's my thing. Yeah. Like, I enjoy sugar. And I like French fries. French fries is also my jam. So, I'm not saying I don't struggle. Yeah. But ultimately, I've gotten so accustomed to just eating the same thing over and over, so that when I do have a struggling moment, like last night, the kids wanted Chick-fil-A for dinner, so I got some French fries. Because I like French fries.
Why not?
Why not?
Because again, here's an important thing in what Kevin said. Because I'm going to take a step back to something he said, which is a very important point. But because he has balance, because he's balanced, he realizes a pack of French fries is not going to kill progress. No. As long as I'm balanced in every other aspect.
And I know that, right? Because I know that, like, I am so structured through my weeks.
Yeah, and I'm going to ask you a question. Did you beat yourself up because you had French fries? No, you enjoy the shit them. And that's a very important thing. But I want to take a couple of steps back, right? Because Kevin mentioned two things. So he was talking about when he was walking through the store, and listen to his words, right? He's got a woman, right, which he describes as an attractive woman, who's checking him out, and he's not focused on her. Right, he appreciates that she's checking him out. I mean, anybody's going to. There's nothing better than a pretty woman checking you out, but that's not his focus point. Yeah. His focus point was the dude, and literally in his mind, he's like, I want to shake this guy awake. Go, come on, man.
Yeah.
And when he
Beautiful family. They had 3 kids with them. She's gorgeous. You could see the misery. And he was, he looked happy. He looked like he was fine, dressed well, but the whole family dressed well to the T. And I'm like, wake the fuck up, buddy.
And now, this is again from Kevin, who's made fundamental jumps. He's been working for a long time. Before him and me even met, he's been working on getting better. And since me and him met, we both had great strides. This podcast alone has given us great strides and progress, right?
I agree.
But there, in one sense, he said, like, we're sitting in our men's group, right, and or in our community, and we're speaking to the guys, and we're trying to formulate, right? And I was trying to formulate for them is, why do you want to get in shape, right? Because the average guy is going to go, oh, I want a 6-pack, I want to be jacked, I want to be biceps, and this was the words. I'm going to say the same thing to you that I said to them, and then I'm going to explain why Kevin has his frustrations, right? Your why has nothing to do with anyone else. It's not about looking like someone else. It's not about having a 6-pack. 6-packs are a wonderful thing if you have them, but that's not what this is about. This is about longevity and capability, right? You want to be the guy that can drag and carry your family out of fire, right? You don't want to be the guy in the famous meme who's walking in front of the little bags while the firefighter's carrying his wife behind him. You don't want to be that guy. You want to be capable, right? You want to be able to play with your kids. You want to be able to play with your grandkids.
Dude, did you see that video of these guys in the soccer fight where they had the grandstand? Have you seen any of that?
Oh, yeah, with the boxer.
Well, no, I don't know. It was just, I think it just happened, but it was a game got shut down basically because in the upper deck of the thing,
just wailing into each other.
Yeah, there was a huge brawl that broke out. Anyways, they show a guy taking off running, tried to get out, and basically he got punched and kicked and kind of mauled a little bit, and he ended up taking off. But it caused me to think like this, okay? So this is what's in my head is like, what if all of a sudden I'm at a game with my family and all of a sudden a brawl breaks out like that? I know what I would have done if I was carrying my family out of that situation. And there's a dude right there that had an object in his hand. That dude's life's over, man.
He's done.
He's fucking done for, because my family is going home. They will be out of that place, and and I can't always say that it was like that. In my head, I told myself I was capable of that. But even just like knowing now what I'm capable of, the way I train, the way fighting I've trained in, like, and I'm going to continue that. But like, I just like that. But that guy, he didn't throw a single punch to get out of it. He literally covered himself up and tried to get out. And I'm like, man, I would have fucked them dudes up.
You would have done. And in that side is what we've said it before in the podcast, right? Is the willingness to die for your family is an automatic trigger. We all have it,
of course.
Right? What we're fundamentally talking about is, and Kevin mentioned,
we showed that to him. Yeah,
you want to live for them.
Yeah.
Right. It's about choosing the things that are hard to make your life with them easier.
Well, let me share the example we shared, because let's go down that path. But like one of the guys was, he's an average build guy. He's everyday middle American, but he doesn't really lift weights. And I said to him, I'm like, all right, I need you to fight Jason right now. And he just laughed, and he's like, I don't know about that. And I was like, well, why don't you want to fight him? He's like, well, look at him, right? And I said, okay, well, he's about to kill your family. He goes, I'm fighting.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, why is it all of a sudden a difference, right?
That shouldn't make a difference.
It shouldn't make a difference.
And it's not about fighting. Right?
It's not.
It's about, it's the point he's making is it's not about his willingness to fight me. It's about his willingness to fight me when his family's in danger.
Correct. So why did it shift, right? And then the example you used is like, so we all say that, right? We all say like, well, I don't want to fight the big guy until my family's life's in jeopardy. So now I'm going to fight. Well, why don't we choose to live for our family?
Yes.
And so let me tie us all together. We use the female in the public's example. We use the fighting stuff. So my why is to be the best man I could possibly be, so that I can properly love those I want to love.
Yes.
That's my why.
Nothing more important.
If I can't, and I've said this, right? Like through my journey and everything I've been, sometimes I was getting the question of, well, why now?
Yeah.
Or why did you do this? Or why did you do that? And I realized I didn't love myself.
Yeah.
And so if I didn't love myself, how could I properly love anybody else?
Super important point.
Right? Like in the end, now I look at myself, I'm really proud of the guy that I've become.
Yes.
I love, like, even I've been doing tattoos, they symbolize so much, and I'm going to write a blog about them at some point to tell you what they all mean. But like, I love the tattoos. I love what it's representing, because now I look at it and go, it is truly showing me,
yes,
who I am,
a representation of you.
Yeah, and like as the makeup of myself, like I'm to a place where it's like whatever happens. Like, you know, yes, there's still things that bother me. Yes, like financial stuff is something that like. You know, some of that stuff were just some deadlines and stressors that I have around finances is important things that are going on because of risks that I've taken. Excuse me, risks that I've taken. So it's not to say that I'm immune to like human things.
Yeah.
But I've really learned how to deal with these things.
What Kevin's saying there is massively important. It's not. You don't do what we're doing, right? And what our community is doing is you're not doing that because you're going to be immune to you don't become a superhuman by doing this, right? Yeah. What you create is habit-based learning that prepares you to act like a superhuman when things get bad.
Yeah.
It teaches you how to enact something, because when everything is going well, you said this yesterday, when everything is going well, it is easy to follow a diet, it's easy to go to the gym, it's easy to love your wife, it's easy to take her to dinner, it's easy to do all the good things, everything's good, right? That's not why you're doing this. You are preparing for when life will inevitably throw you with a pile of shit. When that happens, this is what we're preparing for. And then when that happens is I'm preparing to be able to deal with it in a way that I am not emotionally triggered.
Correct.
I don't take it out on the people I love, and I still love myself and act in the best possible way I can. I look at the problem that I have, I find a solution, I enact a solution, and nothing around me changes in how I act or what I do, regardless of how big the problem is.
And you know, a technique that I've found, and I agree with everything you just said, and when you sense that like you're getting grouchy and snippy and you're starting to take it out on them, acknowledge it. Hey, this isn't about you. I'm sorry. It's just kind of coming to the surface. And then my next step is go to bed. Like I have found, go to sleep it off, get a good night's rest, not just a few hours, a full night's rest, and actually wake up the next day, reevaluate where you stand, and then open up the dialogue and have some conversation with somebody that you hurt. You know, if that and that was my story, right? Like I I've taken my stress home a lot, get angry and agitated with stuff, and we've talked about that in the past. I don't want to go down that road, but like, you know, there's techniques that you can, you know, handle this stuff with, and that's why that, you know. But I also think training, you know, this week's been nuts for me.
But you still train.
I still trained every day.
And do you regret going to the gym?
Do I regret?
Do you regret those workouts?
I love the gym. So now,
all right. So again, we're going to get down into so we've dived into what we think resilience means, right? We've also we've given some real world examples of how it affects you and where you need to apply it. Kevin's given a couple of good tips of how he applies his resilience, but what I think is important is, first of all, is take accountability for what you do, right? If you, regardless, good, bad, if you're doing something that is hurting someone you love or hurting those around you, take accountability for it. Take 5 steps back, absorb it, use it. Do not let it overcome you.
Really quick on accountability. Like I just listened to a thing from Jocko the other day. It was like 20 minutes of him talking about accountability, and he talks extreme accountability. You're responsible for everything.
Yes.
Stop pointing the finger. Own that shit, regardless of what it is, and you're going to find way better results by just simply owning it.
Yeah. And once you take accountability, Kevin mentioned something is you have to learn to love yourself, right? I am a much better husband for my wife when I love myself, right? Not superficially, not egotistically. I'm happy with the person I am, and I'm happy with what I put out in the world. I have a moral compass. I follow that compass. I do everything in love and kindness. I'm trying to be the best version of myself. The minute I've done this, and we've had great success with people we're working with who have now found profoundly higher levels of connection with their families, specifically their spouses and their kids, right? And I find for me is if I'm always the best version, I'm giving that best version to the person I love the most. Right? You want to always do that. I don't want to bring crap home to her. I don't want to bring bullshit home to her. I don't want to weigh on her. it doesn't mean I don't talk to her about what's going on. It means that I do it in a way where we can communicate and we can effectively make decisions together. So I want to be the best version for her.
You know, the other thing is I think giving praise is a big thing I missed on for a long time because I just grew up in a house that didn't necessarily do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think they did. I just don't remember it.
Yes.
Okay, let's say it like that. I don't necessarily remember the praise that was given. And especially when it came to sports, like I was always dealing with, you know, this was my memory of it. It may not be theirs, but it's my memory of, I would call home and say, hey, you know, this is what I did on the ball field. And they would want to talk about where my mess ups were to help me get better. And again, those are my memories. I'm not saying that's what exactly occurred, but that was just how I remembered it.
That's what you remember.
Right. And going into a marriage, you know, and baseball is full of criticism, man. Like they talked about how baseball is just a game of failure. Okay. And it is a game of failure. If you think about it, a Hall of Fame hitter hits 300. That means 70% of the time he failed.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's DNA makeup for a baseball player to just have critical mind because that's what you do. Like you're just always looking for ways to get better. And to do that, you have to look where you failed. Okay. Yeah. So then you take that into your home and you get critical, but you know, let's take that aside. I'm not going to get into all that. It's more, I didn't do a good job of giving praise because one, I never received a whole lot of praise growing up.
Yep.
Didn't receive a whole lot of praise in my sports and military. It was just an expectation to be good. So I struggled to articulate and say it out loud because it felt awkward to me.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's emotional. Yeah. That's that emotional connection that men, we drive away from it because it makes us feel uncomfortable.
It does. It makes me feel uncomfortable. And so my point of even saying that is like, okay, men, learn to say to each other, get your community of men, get your community of guys together and breathe life into one another. Like, hey bro, I'm proud of you. You did X, Y, Z. That's really, that's great. But then take it to your spouse too.
Yes. And
like, I've been doing that lately and, you know, I've had to be intentional with that. I've had to work on it. And like, you know, Sam just competed for her first show. She's got another one coming up here in a few weeks. And I try to tell her as often as I can, and as much as I think about it, I'm really proud of you. I've seen all the work you're putting in. I see everything you're doing. I see you. Like, I'm so proud of her. And like, you know, one of the things she said to me at her show, without getting into all that, but like, there, you know, with the class where she, you know, I thought for sure she'd place and she didn't. She saw my reaction, and that meant a lot to me that she saw how, because I know she felt how upset I was for her. You
basically, you saw her.
Yeah.
Right. And,
for sure.
And listen to those words, because this is, especially in relationships, is how often do you see your spouse?
I never did for the longest time.
Right. I don't know why we do this. It's definitely a default error in our wiring, but for whatever reason, the people closest to us, it's like we stop seeing them, right? We really stop looking at them as who they are, and kind of I think it's because you run a pattern, right? You continue, it's the same thing over and over.
I think so many times in marriage we just exist.
Yeah, you know, that's true.
We just exist, and we don't actually like. And that was my deal. I always said I wanted a great marriage, and I always heard, oh, it takes work. Yeah, okay. Well, what work?
Yeah.
What is the work?
No one. Funny that you mentioned that is because, you know, we're talking about the tips now is when people say it takes work, right? But again, you have to figure out that work. But here's the biggest kicker. It starts with you putting you first so that you can be the best version for the person you love the most.
Yeah, well, like I've said this so many times before, attractive, right? Am I attractive? And not just like sexy and good looking. Am I an attractive person? Do you want to be around me?
Yeah. Does my energy make you want to speak to me?
Yeah. Like, am I likable? Do people actually want to sit down and have a conversation with me?
Yes.
And then, okay, so everybody else might, but does my spouse want to do that?
The most important person in the world to you.
And for me, it got to a point for a while, and I was ignorant to it. She didn't. Yeah. She didn't want it. She didn't want that from me. So it's like, all right, but going back to what I was saying, you know, do you date your wife for things I heard? Okay, sure. Like, well, I think so, but how? How do I date my wife?
Yeah.
Do you want a great marriage? You got to put the work in. Well, what's the work?
What is the work?
What is the work? What is it that I'm supposed to do? So in the beginning, like, I thought the work was, well, I got to have a job. So I was providing men's and, you know, without getting into all my life marriage story, but like there were things that I thought I was doing that was the work that wasn't even close to what the work is. Right. And I didn't know because like, so what I would tell anybody that's freshly married, go do marriage classes, Go read marriage books. Go to marriage seminars. Go to stuff like that. Learn what it takes to be happily married or to work on your marriage, because I just tried to figure it out.
Yeah, and let's be honest. Most guys do, because
Most do.
We're men. This is another tip that Kevin touched on it, but I kind of want to really lay it in. You need to learn how to express emotions without thinking of it as weakness and without necessarily being weak, right?
Yeah.
You can talk about things that you're going through and how you're feeling. It doesn't mean you sit there and you cry and you ball up in a ball. Like, none of us do that. That's not what we're talking about.
No, there's dudes do.
You want to find a group of guys that you can sit down with, and it's not the guys at the bar. It's not around a bunch of drinks, because what happens is that's just a negative feedback loop. It's sitting down with people with the same energy and being able to say, you know what, I'm struggling to figure out what my wife wants. Right, I don't know. I ask her, she tells me she wants this, I do that, it's not good enough. And this is, I mean, Melissa touched on this when we had with her, is, you know, men are never good enough. That's what we always feel. And I'm pretty sure as I'm saying that, I'm hearing and feeling another guy on the other go, yeah, that's what my wife says. I'm never good enough. I'm just not good enough. That's not what she's saying. Right. If you weren't good enough, right?
She would have chosen you.
And she wouldn't have chosen you. She wouldn't still be with you, right? Unless she's a narcissist, crazy person, okay, which is using you, which is a completely different problem. If this is a person that you trust, love, and that you really have insight with, they're saying it because there's fundamentally something that is hurting them or affecting them in the marriage. It's on you to take 4 steps back, go, what could this be, right? You have to be able to dive in, take that criticism, take that, grow a thicker skin, stop reacting to everything in, you know, as a tantrum or a reactive. Stop being reactive, right? Be proactive. Expect at some point the person you love is going to come to you and tell you something you may not like. Who's it coming from? Someone I love dearly and whose opinion I really respect. Take that opinion, take a step back, go, is there something there? Now, if they're giving it, there probably is most definitely something there. Be okay with that, right?
Well, I think I don't have experience to say that this is the case, but if I were a betting man, I would imagine this is a problem in many marriages. Is when it comes to sex, you know, for men, like, and I was bad at this, where you want sex with your wife and you want all kinds of stuff and you don't know how to go about it. Yeah. And in the beginning, it's easy because there's a connection, right? There's a chemical, in a sense, there's a chemical drive to each other. Yeah. She feels safe. She's excited. She wants to be with you. It's new. It's easy. Yeah. In the sex and intimacy department.
It's almost a little bit more primal when you first meet your partner, because, as you said, it's new. They don't really know you yet. You don't really know that you're them yet. So it takes time to get there. But also with women, right? As with men, but most with women, that changes as they age, right? Yeah. Women in parts of their menstrual cycle, right? In parts of their actual menstrual cycle, will find more rugged features more attractive. Other points they'll find more feminine features more attractive, right? Because it depends on their hormone levels. Now, that doesn't mean she's looking for another man. It means that there are certain parts of your makeup that are more attractive to her at certain points of the month than other points of the month. Yeah. If you want to have a very intimate, good sexual relationship with your partner, you need to learn that those things fluctuate and not get upset when she's saying, oh, but I don't like the way you touch me now, right? Because, again, one part of the month, depending on where her progesterone, estrogen is, she might like a specific type of touch.
Well, what I was ultimately trying to say, like, I agree with what you're saying. But what I'm ultimately saying is, like, I haven't figured it all out. And when it comes to the sex department, that's still something that's an ongoing thing to work on, okay? But what I've evolved from was I just want sex for my wife too. And I've said this to you 1,000 times over the past year. All I say to her now is, what I say to her now, like, of course I want sex, but I want love, intimacy, and connection. Yes. And it's different. We've talked about the difference between lust and intimacy. And I think as a man, as you evolve, like what you and Melissa confirmed as far as on the podcast, we are filled up when we have intimacy and connection as a man. And that's what we want. But we don't all know how to say it.
We also don't figure it out, or we kind of immune to it, because in order to figure out that's what you want, you have to do all of the self-work.
I had no idea. I could never say...
You couldn't...
I just called it sex because I didn't know.
Yes.
I didn't know what else to say.
And the only way you figure that out was going through a self-growth process where you, first of all, you learn to love yourself. You take accountability and you try and find balance in your life. You become the best version of yourself. The minute I did that, the minute you did that, the minute people we spoke to, the minute they did that, all of a sudden, your spouse is like a flower opening up. Right? You all of a sudden see these parts of. Actually, what's happening is she's seeing parts of you she's never seen. In ways she's never seen before, and she goes, "Oh my God!" Now, if you're guilty, as most of us are, I have been. If you're guilty of having struck down those things for a long period of time, it's not like the minute that you figure it out, like she's gonna all of a sudden, if you snap your fingers and now she's gonna, it takes time because you have to build up that trust.
I'm not going to tell you how long for me, but just out of respect for my wife, but in terms of like, how things have gone and what's going on, but a mentor that I know that's been through some very similar things from the time he realized the change was, all right, I'm changing, till she acknowledged he's changed was 3 years. It took 3 years for her to finally say, I see it.
And you cannot be upset by it. You have to allow it to happen, and it's not about them, it's about you. You have to continuously be this best version.
Men want it yesterday, right? We want I changed. You should respect it. And
it's not how it works.
They might respect it, but they're not necessarily there.
And
they have to trust again, and that takes time. And you have to earn that back. And again, it's about the resilient work that you're putting in, like
changing those directions consistently.
And to me, like I've said this, and pretty much everything, but like I'll never know how good it could be if I don't keep fighting, right?
You have to keep working.
If I don't keep working and I don't keep going through the struggles, I'll never know how good it could be. I always think about the analogy of the guy that's got the pickaxe and he's swinging for diamonds. You ever seen that
far
one?
away, and it's like
he's that far away, and then he quits. And that always sticks in my head. Anytime I want to ever quit, that image always pops in my head. It's for whatever reason it's my go-to. And it's true, right? Like you'll never know how close you are to the diamonds if you don't just keep going.
Well, you know what's interesting on that is if you go and have a look at when they speak to married couples who have got 50, 60 years together, right? And they ask what made your marriage successful, right? Truly. The highest level answer is we never gave up on each other. We never gave up. Literally, we just never gave up. And I want to close off right on today's.
I have one thought on that real quick.
Go ahead.
Another thing I think I just recently saw this one, a guy that I followed in the marriage world, and I was guilty of this where like I'm constantly trying to change her. And if I don't love her for who she is and where she is, why am I with her?
100%.
Right.
That's a great point.
I need to accept her for who she is, what she's become, how she's evolved, how she's grown. And if I can't, then why am I with her?
100%. That's a good point. You have to. Again, you chose this person.
I did.
Right. So
better or worse,
doesn't matter.
We evolve, we change, and in the end, if I don't like who that person has become, and I can't accept her for who she is and who she's become, and the change is too great for me, why am I with her?
Exactly.
And that's helped me open my eyes a lot. Helped me really learn.
You went deep on that one to question the reasons of why, which is important. And to bring this back to ending this off is, if you want to create that iron mindset, that resilient mindset, you have to understand that resilience is about never giving up and understanding that you have to change direction consistently to get to the outcome. By doing that is you have to, first of all, you have to let your triggers go. You have to recognize them. You have to understand them. You have to take the time to literally get in touch with yourself. Go, why am I feeling that like that? Why do I do that when this happens? Start recognizing them and start adapting so that doesn't trigger you anymore. You have to let go of insecurities. You have to let go of limiting beliefs. You have to truly love yourself and take accountability for what you do to be able to be the best version for everyone. This is relationships. This is about looking after yourself from a health perspective. This is about spirituality. Everything centers around accountability and being the best version of yourself. You have to approach everything from an aspect of love and kindness. Everything. Even if you hate someone, you have to reevaluate yourself, because hate's a terrible thing. You have to look at everything, even things you don't like, from a point of love and kindness. It doesn't mean that you're weak and you accept everything. No one's saying you don't have to become less of yourself, but you have to have empathy for everything around you. while still maintaining your stronghold.
Yeah.
Because that's not a sign of weakness. That's a sign of understanding.
I think it's okay to dislike something. It's not okay to hate something.
Yes.
There's a difference, right? Because hate, there's a different thing in your heart that needs to be addressed.
And that comes from a bad place. Yeah. And finally, what you've got to do is and we've said this on this podcast 1,000 times. It doesn't help. You only focus on one thing. You can be in the most fantastic shape on earth, and you are not working on your marriage, your business, and now you will fail. You have to work on every aspect, mind, body, spirit, abundance, consistently, every day. You always have to find that balance. Some things you're going to fall into a little bit easier. You and me, keeping our bodies in shape, that's a lot easier for me. Relationships a little bit harder, right? It's not that easy. I'm getting better at it, but it's consistent work.
It is.
This applies to every level in your life. You have to, first of all, it starts with you, no one else. Accountability, first of all. Learn to love yourself. Do not be scared. Don't be uncomfortable with things that are uncomfortable. Start being comfortable being uncomfortable, because in uncomfortable situations, growth happens. Yeah. You're not doing these things for the good times. You're preparing in the good times for when they're not so good, so that you can be more resilient in them. And last thing I want to add before I hand over to Kevin for his insights on this is, if you chose to be with someone in your life, you chose them for a reason. Never lose that respect and insight of why you chose them.
Yeah. I mean, you're one team, and we forget that. Like, it's almost sometimes like, and I know I did. Like, it was like we were competing with each other instead of being on the same page and being on the same team.
Good point.
And my final thoughts on this topic is we're talking resilience, and a guy that's a mentor. I've heard him say this 1,000 times. Basically, who do I have to become? And I like something that's like called a belief statement. So, like, if you're listening to us and you're in the midst of your struggle, whatever that might be, what I like about a belief statement is basically it's talking about it's identifying who you want to become.
Yes.
I am going to be whatever. Okay, I am whatever. So anyway, you may not be where you want to be, but you have to start believing. You identify, like, who am I going to become? Who's that person that I'm looking to be? And then affirmations in the mirror. Yeah. Right? Stand in front of the mirror and breathe life into yourself.
Good tip.
And believe that you're going to be that guy. Like, and I talked to you about, like, I've shared this on the podcast, I think. I may have said it just in the group, but in the lab, when I was in the midst of some struggles, some really deep struggles, I did lean hard into fitness. Yeah. Because it allowed me to rediscover myself. And I like pain when it comes to getting myself, like, it was almost, I don't know, it's a weird relationship.
It's therapeutic.
It is. It's super therapeutic. Yeah. It's weird, right? And so I told you about the time I went out. I know I said it in our lab with the guys. I think I did 75 sprints one day out in front of my house after a workout, mailbox to mailbox, and beat my chest almost halfway the entire time. Yeah. Whatever, I don't know. It was a long time, but I just I beat my chest because I was building myself up to say there's no one better than me. Yeah. Because of what I was going through. And I even went so far as there was a guy I was helping that was in the midst of some hard struggles too, and I sent him a video that I got a little emotional thinking about what I was and where I was at, to try to motivate him. And you have to believe that you're going to make the change. You're going to be the change. You're, in my case, the legacy maker, the chain breaker that is going to change my family's trajectory.
You have to live it.
And I have to live it, even though I didn't believe it at the time. Yeah. Now I believe it. And I know where I'm going. Yeah. But at the time I didn't. Yeah. And so if you're listening to this and you're in the midst of this shit, identify who you want to be and then start to believe it by standing in front of the mirror and looking at yourself and whatever you got to do to believe it. But start telling it. I think it was Jocko too when I was listening to that. Like, how much negative self-talk do you give yourself? Well, fucking stop that. Yeah. Stop telling yourself you suck and tell yourself you're great.
You're the best. I can do this. Yeah. No one can beat me.
No one should believe in you more than you.
Yes.
Right?
If you don't, who is?
Yeah. Right? Like, nobody. Like,
no one else.
Nobody else is going to believe in
you. You
have to do it. Yeah. Right? So stop with the negative self-talk. Identify who you want to become. breathe life into yourself by standing in front. Even if you go write, like I wrote some things on the mirror sometimes to myself. I made screensavers for my phone sometimes. You know, there's all kinds of things and ways you could do it. Meditations, right? Like listen to meditations, listen to positive things. I like positive music, you know, that's like energy, motivational type music.
Yeah.
I like, you know, Jocko type stuff, those inspirational cuts that they put together. I love those things. The Joe Rogan ones, all that, right? Whatever it is you got to do to believe that you're the best, to be the best, use it.
And do it.
Those are my thoughts.
Great way to end off.
Thanks
you
for
guys.
listening.